Hello, everyone. We're Marin and Angela, and this is Homeschool Unrefined. We created this podcast to change the conversation about homeschool. This is a place where we encourage each other to do less, be ourselves, embrace natural learning, and keep homeschool simple, real, and fun. We live 2 miles away from each other in Minnesota, and we've been friends for over 20 years. Our kids are between the ages of 9 and 15, and we've been homeschooling a combined total of 19 years. We are an inclusive and non-sectarian podcast and community. We believe Black Lives Matter and affirm LGBTQ plus families. While this podcast is not focused on these topics, these beliefs inform our work and are woven into everything we do. We hope this is a place where we can all learn and grow together.
This is episode 144, Raising Confident Kids, Raising Ourselves Too. We are going to get to that in just a minute. First, hi, Marin.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Great. How about you?
Good. I'm great. Do you have a question from the Facebook squad for us?
I do. Okay, the question today for you, Angela, and for me, we're going to talk about this, is what curriculum or product or activity is working for your kids this week?
Yeah, I saw you ask this question in the group, and I didn't have an answer, so I didn't answer. Same as last week.
It's okay. You can think about it.
Yeah, I did think about it because I knew you were going to ask me. So I did come up with something that's really working.
Good.
My youngest is 11. You know, I have 15, 13, and 11.
Yes.
My 15 and 13-year-olds are pretty much done with me reading aloud picture books.
Yeah.
Or even, let's just be honest, reading aloud.
I know. Sad.
Sometimes we read aloud a little bit, but, you know, they'll tolerate it.
I get it.
Sometimes. But my 11-year-old is not done with it, which I am so happy about.
Yeah.
He loves when I read aloud to him.
Great.
And we love it when I'm reading picture books to him. And so I resurrected that this fall.
It's so precious now that you have kids who are kind of growing out of that. Are you just hanging on to it?
I'm hanging on to it. And then here's the other thing, Marin.
Yes.
We just got an L-shaped couch. And this is what I wanted to tell you about. If you have an L-shaped couch, it is the best because I lay on one side of the L.
Yeah.
He lays on the other side. And then he puts his head on my shoulder.
Oh.
And it's like so comfortable. Because part of reading aloud is like not real comfortable. Sometimes. Sometimes reading aloud is not comfortable.
So
but
true.
because now I only have one child who's still listening. And we have this L-shaped couch.
Yes.
I could lay there forever. I could read book after book in this position. So
what you're saying,
you should try it because I think you have an L. I think you have an L.
Yep.
You just got one. You need to try it
Okay.
because it's amazing.
That sounds great, actually.
Yeah, there's nothing uncomfortable about it. I can hold the book. He's not in my way. He's like kind of off to the side, but he's right there.
And our kids are getting bigger, and I just think we all need to spread out or be able to stretch out now. I feel like, there was this time, I have twins. I used to have twins on my lap, both of them.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes that my kids still try to
I know.
use that much space. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
So we're reading lots of picture books together, which I really love. I've started using the library again. Our library is just allowing you to reserve books and then go pick them up. So that is allowing me now to do picture books more,
Great.
which I appreciate. I will put it out there if anybody has any suggestions for picture books for older kids. As a bonus, if it is featuring diverse families or by an author of color, I would love your recommendations because it's not super easy to find.
And I know you're looking specifically for, kids just, kind of like living regular life. It doesn't have to be like in some, extreme situation, but just like living life.
Totally. There's a lot of picture books about civil rights or slavery or stuff like that. And those are good too.
Yep.
But I would love just living life type of books. If you have any suggestions, let me know.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Marin? what are your kids really into right now?
Well, what's working for us right now is games, which is kind of really, I mean, if you've listened to this podcast, maybe from the beginning, I may have told you we don't really do games because that's why this is like so kind of mind blowing for me to even say that, because we were never a gaming family. We were never we wouldn't take board games out and just play them as a family. It's just not who we were. Yeah. And I'm just naming that because I know there's a lot of families out there who are probably in the same situation and feeling like we need to be a game family. That's how I always
even
felt.
A homeschooler if I'm not into games.
How can I even say that I'm a homeschooler? Yeah. My kids don't even like games. I think it was a lot of the attention that we had to focus on, following the rules, making sure everyone else followed the rules, and then waiting. Like a lot of games are just like waiting for people to go. And so just all of that put together was really hard for our family of 6. It's a lot of people talking and then getting distracted. And then the people who were focused were frustrated with the people who were getting distracted. And so anyway, I feel like what's happening right now is the reason why it's working now is, number one, it's kind of, for us, it's been an alternative to other curriculum. So, like, for example, math, we're doing math. We're doing a math app, Dreambox, which I'm really loving for our 3 younger kids. My oldest, my 13-year-old, is doing an online math class on her own. But my 3 younger kids, 11, and 9, are doing Dreambox. But instead of doing this every day, instead of just doing apps every day, or, just practice, I've just decided we're going to do every other day, app, game, or, so, and it's been just this like huge pressure release of, I don't know, it just feels like more fun. And so it's an alternative to, to work. And then also I just think because it's just the 3 younger kids and they're kind of like all in this same, the same boat. Developmentally, maybe they're really close to each other and they're all just enjoying the 4 of us getting together, and we have music on in the background, like background music. And it's just kind of like it's just, a fun time together. And so I don't know, just developmentally, they're all there. They're all ready for these games. It's been so great.
That's awesome. What games? I know people are going to want to know. What's
good question.
A couple of your favorites.
So I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I have a book called Family Math, and it's just all games. It's all family math games. So I usually pick something out of there. But also sometimes we just play cards, like I think of a game with cards, like add these together and whoever gets up to 100 first or whatever wins. So sometimes I just make up card games. And then, just today we played Racco. Have you ever played Racco?
No, but that's an old one.
It's an oldie, but a goodie. It is so good. And so it's just like ordering numbers from smallest to biggest, but they aren't, sequential necessarily. They're not like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's you have to try and get your cards from smallest to biggest. Anyway, and it takes some strategy and some skill and some number sense. And so we did that today.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's just working so well. And then because we're kind of into these math games, now the whole game cupboard is kind of getting more use. So we're pulling out other games just for fun. We played Apples to Apples Junior a lot. I mean, that is like our go-to game, which I feel like is so good for language arts and
for sure.
Just word usage, and it's just I love Apples to Apples.
That is one of our favorites.
Yes,
Junior.
So good.
That's awesome. Well, our Facebook squad that we just talked about is for our Patreon supporters, and that's just a group just for them. If you are interested in supporting us on Patreon, you get that plus 2 extra episodes a month and a community of people for $5 a month, and you can go to patreon.com/homeschoolunrefined. Okay, I wanted to just put in a little plug for our newsletter. We have a newsletter that comes out. It is packed full of different things that we're working on. It's kind of the central place where we are sharing all the things that we're working on. So we're always creating new things, trying to figure out ways to help you more in your homeschool. And that all goes in the newsletter. If you are not signed up, there is going to be a sign up in the link here in our show notes for you to sign up to make sure that you're getting that newsletter once a month when it comes out.
Yeah. And if you just go to homeschoolunrefined.com, it'll pop up too. So be easy to
it does just pop up right away.
Yes. And so, yep. And then you're going to get a free homeschool guide with that and lots of other great things.
When you sign up, you get the free high five guide.
Yeah.
Which has some resources for homeschool on it for free. So if you haven't done that, we wanted to make sure that you do.
Yes. All right. Our topic today is raising confident kids and raising ourselves too. We had to add that in there. We're raising ourselves too. We're kind of learning this as we go.
Yeah. We were just kind of reviewing what we were talking about ahead of, before we got on. And I was commenting about, how hard this is to even do for myself.
Yes.
And how much I have to think about it and how much I'm challenged by it just for me.
Absolutely.
And so I want to give my kids a head start into, into being confident themselves, so that they're not in their 40s and trying to relearn a bunch of that stuff.
Right. Or learn for the first time.
For the first time.
Yeah. I need to speak up about this or whatever. So first let's talk about maybe why should we think about raising confident kids? Why should that be on our radar? Won't our kids just be confident?
Well, it's hard. I think especially as homeschoolers, sometimes we don't fit the mold. We're not fitting the mold of, kids in school and therefore kids in the neighborhood or kids in different activities that you're in or even just in the culture. Yeah. And I know lots of public school kids or traditional school kids feel this way too for different reasons. Yes. But it's just easy to feel like we're not enough and we're not doing things right and we're the different family.
Absolutely. And this definitely goes for kids I think that's been kind of scientifically proven that like kids with learning differences especially there's like a category of kids who have learning differences that are super sensitive to not feeling right at all. And I think probably all of us do. And I think we all have learning differences. They may not be labeled, but we all have learning differences. And so we probably all have a little bit of this. I just do things differently or why am I like this?
Right. Right. And so, so it can be, when you feel those things, it can make you feel, especially as a child, oh, I'm different. I'm not doing things right, or I don't learn the right way, or I don't dress the right way, or whatever.
Yeah, different equals bad.
Different equals bad.
Yes.
Right.
And we've been trained as a culture to like fit in, to not speak up, especially to authority, to listen as listening is the right thing to do. Following the directions are the right thing to do. So.
Yeah. And so because we're homeschooling, we have a great opportunity to speak something different into our kids' minds and spirits. And of course, traditional school parents also have this opportunity.
Yes.
But I know we're speaking to mostly homeschoolers, and I feel like it's, for me, a kind of natural fit in our day, just like in different things we're talking about or going about our day. It's easier to do it because we're home.
Yes, it can just be woven in. It doesn't have to be like, we're going to talk about how to have self-confidence right now. This can just be woven into your life. And we want these messages to be more like, you are good just as you are. Who you are today is good. And this is what we say on our podcast to parents, because we probably, we weren't probably told that as kids. It's just, that's kind of how the culture was, especially back in, 30 years ago or 40, however. So these are messages that we're kind of figuring out right now. And we want to share that with you. And we want you to share that with your kids too.
Yes. Also, you could do most things you want to do.
Yeah.
You can, what are you interested in? Let's try and figure out how to make that work. There aren't limits.
Yeah.
What are you, What excites you? Let's think about that. It doesn't have to be the traditional, are you interested in math, science, language arts,
history,
or social studies?
Yeah, right, exactly.
There's a wide breadth of things that could interest you or your kids. Let's figure out what those are.
Yes. And just because you don't fit into the mold of, loving math or loving this one thing, that doesn't mean you aren't worthy. In fact, it probably means you have something very special to share with the world that we all need to hear. And we need you in the world.
For sure. And it's, as an adult, like, I'm so glad that I'm learning that message now. I do wish I had learned that earlier. And that's no shade to anybody in my life as a child. It's just the way it is when you're in the culture and, going through school in the traditional way. You do feel like I need to fit in order to be seen.
Right. And when we do these things for our kids, when we're sending that kind of message to them, our kids are going to be more likely to be ready to learn and willing, willing to learn when they feel this way about themselves. They will most certainly probably, have less anxiety, because so much anxiety comes from that spot.
They will be able to help their friends through something tough that their friends might be going through, because they may have, heard similar messaging before.
Right.
They will feel confident about who they are.
Yep. And hopefully find a path in their life that works best for them, their career, their lifestyle. Like those, they'll know themselves more and celebrate themselves, for who they are, and then find out how to make that continue throughout their whole life. So,
right. And in that way, they'll be successful, because success is measured in like how much you are giving of yourself to the world.
Right.
How much you are enjoying and being joyful in your life about knowing yourself and showing that to the world.
Yes, exactly. All right. So, how do we teach our kids to be self-confident?
Well,
simple answer. No, just kidding. This is, like we said, this isn't like a lesson that you just teach and then you move on to the next lesson.
Yeah, this is, I'll just be honest. When we talked about doing this episode, I was like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that. And I think that is because, I've never been taught. None of us have probably really ever been taught, like, this is how you raise confident kids. This is how you teach them to value themselves. Explicitly. Like, that hasn't been something we've been explicitly taught. But I did realize as we talked through this that these are things that are woven into what I do.
It is.
And it is a thing that I am constantly growing and working on. Like, I am not always getting this right.
Yeah.
I am, in fact, messing up a lot.
Well, and I think actually you're really good at this, and you don't even realize you're doing it, but you maybe haven't labeled it, I'm raising confident kids. You've maybe labeled it something else, but this is one of the outcomes of what you're doing, I think. So we've been able to think of lots of things that we've done. Okay. So I was just going to say, I want to start out by saying, I think, probably the most important thing to raise confident kids is to listen to our kids, listen to them, value them, and trust them. And that is not simple or easy.
Right.
I don't think.
No. I mean, it sounds simple, but it's not easy.
Right.
It is a challenging thing to do. I mean, I work really hard at it, and I feel like I'm overcoming messages that say that I don't need to listen to them.
Yes. Well, because we often think, well, if we're listening to our own kids, who's in charge here? Like, are we just letting our kids be in charge?
Or they don't know.
They don't know. Exactly. And so, and of course there's a balance there. Yes, we are in charge, and we we give them that safety net, like, or like we are the parents still. So they don't feel like they're like just flailing. They need to feel some constraints for sure, or whatever, whatever that is, to feel boundaries. Right. But I also feel, I also know, that, when we're not listening to our kids, we're also kind of teaching them that their voice is not important. So there has to be a balance there. And so I think sometimes we can say, I hear you, and I am going to, as a parent, I know more, and I'm going to say no to that or whatever. But I think there are so many other times when we can say, I hear you, and I actually think we need to listen, or do what
that's a good idea.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to listen to your idea. And I know, yes. And so this may change. This is going to be inconvenient for you, probably. It's going to change your plans. It's going to probably make you feel like you're not doing as much. You're not able to check the things off your list. So that's where it gets hard.
That's a good way to put it, that it's inconvenient. Because I have a plan for how something is going to go, for example, or I've done this before. I know that's not going to work, or I know you and you need this, or whatever. And so you have a plan in your mind as the parent. And when they come to you, telling you something, it is inconvenient.
Yes.
It does feel like it's disrupting your plan.
Right.
So I think the parents need to be open to flexibility. And believing their kids. Yep. Believing their kids.
And then if you need to just put another whole check mark at the bottom of your list that says raise a confident kid, you can check that off then. At least you have something checked off. It might not be the things that you were initially planning, but you have that one. You might have that one. So
yeah.
So, and this could be something as little as, when your kids are little, often they can't have all the choices, but you could place 2 choices out and just give them the power to pick out of 2 choices. Do you want strawberries or blueberries? It can be very simple like that. But as our kids get older, they can make more choices, and bigger choices. And they might even start coming up with their own choices, their own ideas.
Yeah. So how this plays out is listening to things like how they're feeling about something, what they want to learn, or how they want to learn.
This is where it gets a little messy.
Yeah.
How do you want to learn? Well, I had a different plan. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely inconvenient because we make lots of plans. We make lots of plans, and especially as homeschoolers, we make lots of plans about how we think they should learn or how we want them to learn because it might work for us.
Right.
But listening and valuing and trusting them when they come to you and tell you this thing isn't working anymore is really important.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's so important. It may be the pivotal thing that helps them the most, though. You may have spent hours and dollars on a curriculum and, come on, like you have to try this a little more or something. You might, but if your child, is able to say, this isn't the right thing for me, or you can just see it, if you can see it and you can ask them, like, what are you really thinking about this curriculum, or how is this going for us? And they're able to say, it's not working for me, and here's why. I mean, what a skill.
Yeah.
It's a huge
for
skill.
sure. For sure. And you and I were talking before we recorded that, I want my kids to be able to do that in life and with other adults or whoever it is. This isn't working for me. Yep. I want them to be able to advocate for themselves. So I also have to know that they're going to do that with me. I mean, it starts with me.
Yes. They need to feel safe in this environment. And so they can try that out and see how it works. And if they feel like it went well, they'll keep doing it. If they feel heard, if they felt valued, they will know that that's a thing that I can do now.
Yeah.
I used to think, when my kids were younger, there were sometimes battles about what to wear. when my kids were really young. And I thought, when my kids get older, this is not going to be an issue anymore. I feel like it still is. I have kids who want to cut their clothes that I've spent my
your
hard-earned money on. And, or, like they work so hard to get to make money. And then they want to spend it all in clothes. And in my mind, I'm like, what?
Yeah. Clothes or makeup.
Yes. And it seems like such a waste to me. It's really, really hard for me to do that. Because you know what would be more efficient? I just go to the store and pick out everything for everybody. It would be the best for our money and for our time.
I know what size you need. I know what size you need.
Yes.
I know it's going to be comfortable on you. Just let me do it.
But I also feel like clothes is such a reflection of every child's person. Who they are.
Yeah.
And I think it can be so powerful to let them decide that.
It's
that
low stakes. It's low stakes way that you can validate who they are. It's really low stakes. For you to be okay with what they're wearing or how they want to cut their hair. It's another thing.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Those are really easy ways. Those are easy ways to validate them.
Yeah. No, I have to say, and one time that this can be really hard, especially for me, is when my kids want to quit an outside activity. That's tough for me because there's social things at play that are hard for me. It's hard for me to do that because I'm like, I want you to, especially as a homeschool kid, I want you to make friends and have these connections. And so when kids want to quit those things, that is when this is put to the test for me.
Well, there's such limited opportunities for homeschool kids.
Right.
That you're like, no, you need to do this because this is kind of it for us.
This is it. It's this or nothing. But also, it's an empowering move, I think, for them too, to put, to say this isn't working, and maybe it opens up another opportunity for something else too. Also, starting things can be hard. When my kids say, I want to do this, sometimes I'm like, let's really think about this. Do you want to do that? I mean, that means I'm driving you somewhere and I don't really, and we're paying for it and we have to be at a certain place at a certain time. I'm just not really into that kind of stuff. And so that's another time when I feel like, and there can be conversations. It doesn't mean we always just say yes to everything either. And so we can certainly guide our kids into what the right decisions are here. But I have said yes to a few things that I'm like, not really into this, but this is where my kids are at right now.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. When we do this for our kids, they will then do it for others.
Right.
And they will do it actually also for themselves.
For the rest
for
of
themselves.
Yeah.
For their life.
It's kind of like it's their first language. It's like for us, we're working on this as kind of like a second language for us. This language,
or third or fourth.
This is kind of like we're building the skill and we're getting kind of good at it. But for them, as if they're growing up this is like an innate thing that just people get to do. People get to have this power and this voice. They will also, I think, go out into the world and say, like, why are these people not getting that voice? And it'll feel so not right to them, and like, I think that is like when, big things change in the world too. So.
Yeah. Okay. So another way we can do this besides listening is modeling and teaching our kids how to speak up when something is good or when something's not right, and how to identify what that looks like.
Yeah. And this is like, I feel like this is like the next level skill. Like after we can do this in a safe environment at home, then maybe we can do it somewhere else, like at a school or a co-op thing where maybe there's bullying happening. Can I speak up about that? And if they feel like they've had enough experience where they've been listened to and, they can move on to this outer ring, maybe, another ring out of their safety net, and they can say it there. They can speak up and tell someone this is happening.
Yeah. I have never felt this more more than as my kids have gotten older, and things I need to speak up about something when I normally wouldn't speak up. I would just be like, we'll just let that go and we'll move on.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. We'll just move on. But I know that my kids are watching.
Yeah.
And I know that I need to model for them. This is how you speak up in a kind way. And this is how you be kind but firm. And this is where you put your boundaries.
Yeah.
And I want them to see that. And I think that has motivated me to do that more for myself so that they can see.
Yes. Yes.
We
So
just
true.
had a situation with driver's ed.
Mm-hmm.
Driver's ed, and I won't go into the details, but I needed to something happened and I needed to speak up, and I didn't want to, but I thought, you know what, my girls are watching me,
Yeah.
and I need to speak up that this is not okay. The way this is happening is not okay. I was very kind about it, but firm, and I gave examples, and I said, I'm uncomfortable with this. We are going to be done.
Yep.
And I feel good about that because I know, like, I hope moving forward that my girls and my son will be comfortable speaking up for themselves in the future. Yeah. And know, like, this is just normal. This is what you do.
This is what my mom did
speak
when
up
this happened. So
you speak up when something makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah. This can also go for, positive things like a great teacher or a great government leader. I know I had my 13-year-old, with writing. Writing is, I always want writing to be so pertinent to what's going on in our lives. And so I asked my 13-year-old if she would write to city council because, they just hired an outside diversity expert to come in and advise our city on how to do things better. And I'm in this Facebook group who somebody in there said, hey, would anybody be willing to write to the city council and thank them for that and tell them why that matters and why that's so important so that they keep doing these things. And I asked my 13-year-old to do it, and she was so excited to do it. And because
that's awesome.
Yeah. Because it's right up her alley. This is like what she thinks about all day long. And so it just made so much sense, and it felt really empowering.
Yeah, that's so great.
So, yeah.
I bet they didn't get any other letters from 13-year-olds.
Yeah.
That's awesome. They probably loved it.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I was also going to just say I have to say my youngest, my 9-year-old this is right. I mean, she was born doing this. She's so good at speaking up about anything that is not okay, with her. And so sometimes that sounds, it sounds like really bad. It's a lot of times it looks really not great.
To who? To somebody on the outside, you
somebody,
mean? Somebody,
it might be a teacher who wants her to sit still.
Oh, yeah.
And, when she's like, this is not, it doesn't feel good to me. I have to do something else right now or something. Or, it might be with friends when anything goes wrong that she will, she's the first to speak up about what's going wrong. And so often, to me, I think, I have got to work. She has got to work on this. This is not okay for her to be so vocal about these things. And while she probably does need to hone her skill a little bit and get better at these, being diplomatic about it, I think this skill might be her strongest. That she'll probably have in her lifetime.
Her best gift.
Yes, yes. But as a 9-year-old, it's probably not coming out as, the way we want it to right now. And, but I do feel like I do not want to dampen that at all.
No. Yeah, no, that's so good. I was just telling you this morning, my 11-year-old said to me, I don't think math is working for me.
Yeah.
right now. And my first thought was, well, I mean, I guess I did tell you to say that.
I asked for this.
For you. I asked for this. And we were able to, it sounds, I'm happy that he was able to vocalize that,
Right.
But it's easy to go, well, too bad, it's math. You're doing it,
right.
But we were able to talk about like what exactly was not working. And we found out it was the number of problems. There were too many. And so, you know what? We can cut them back. We can cut back the number of problems. And then he felt good about it. And I thought, I'm really glad that I encouraged that, even though it's hard for me to hear in the moment. It's hard because I had this plan about what we were going to do.
Yes.
So,
yep. I love that. And that's like the goal. It's just amazing. It often feels very inconvenient, but it's so good.
It's inconvenient.
Okay. Another thing we could do is model and teach setting boundaries. This is a new one for probably a lot of us. Don't you think?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's very new.
Setting boundaries is tough.
Yeah. It's very hard. I'm constantly practicing it
Yes.
and I'm constantly getting it wrong.
Yep.
And so, I mean, I guess it's good that my kids are seeing me practice it. And I hope they are learning a few things. But I want to pass along like that setting a boundary and communicating that, like Brene Brown says, is kind. Like it is kind to be clear about what you need and want and are going to do.
Well, you're kind of letting people know who you are. I mean, do you want people to really know who you are, or just like on the outside? Do you want,
or what you think they want to know?
Yeah,
what you think
you're just being really authentically you, and that's the person
I love
people should know.
Right, but I think we have this perception that it comes across as rude or mean or
yes.
unkind or something.
I think this gets. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think this gets tricky when when we're in a pandemic and a lot of us are staying home a lot, and there's lots of Zoom calling happening, right? And I just think it's really hard when you don't have much else to do. So when you say no to a Zoom call, when you're putting a boundary on Zoom calls or something, it's not, you don't have that much of an excuse. Like you can't say, well, I am so busy doing all these other things. Well, really, no. It's just, it's not working for me.
I can't Zoom
anymore.
Yeah. Well, I think, I just want to be a bit more clear about it. I am busier than ever. I feel busier than ever.
True.
And so I don't like saying we're not busy because we're in a pandemic. What I am is home more. I'm home more. And so like, I think people are like, well, you're home.
So I don't have stuff on my schedule. So it's not like I have a scheduling conflict. Like that's the easy thing. You can say, no, I can't do that. I have a scheduling conflict, but there's nothing on the schedule. It's just, yes, you're right. So busy.
I do have things on the schedule. I have Zooms on the schedule. Yeah. I don't know. Like, and if I already have a Zoom later in the day, I can't do another one earlier just because I can't be on so much.
I know, right? And so I think we just have to give ourselves.
It's okay to say that's not going to work for me. That's too many Zooms in one day. It's okay. It is okay. Yeah. And I don't want my kids to think like that they have to always come up with a reason.
Yes.
Or that they have to have a scheduled thing at the same scheduled time in order to say no to something. It is okay to say that's not going to work for me. Or
Period.
Sometimes as they're growing up, I'm telling them it's okay to blame me.
Yes.
Like my mom says I can't or whatever. I think that's a good stepping stone. And so I'm giving them that. But yeah, I think this is one for me that is just going to be something I am constantly evolving and growing and learning how to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And I feel like sometimes my kids are starting to teach me how to do this. I feel like my 13-year-old is so good at this. She really just knows like what she needs as far as people around her, as far as her scheduling goes, definitely about her learning, and what needs to happen there. And like, I think because of these other things that we've talked about that I've done a good job of, maybe that she is able to do the boundary thing well. So maybe just like an output of these other things that we've done. I hope. I mean, who knows? And also I think it's just partly part of her personality too.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So other things that we can do, model and teach how to lift others up. especially people who are different than us. That's so important. And also model and teach leading, having a voice. This kind of goes back to the first thing that we talked about.
Listening
and valuing and trusting our children. They're able to have a voice then. And so, but maybe find places where they can have a leadership position or something, or teach our kids how to delegate too.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about like what they say and think matters.
Exactly.
Because they do know themselves more than you do. Which I think is a hard one for me to swallow. Like they do know what they need more than I do. And it is up to me to trust that.
Yes.
Again, I feel like I need to put the disclaimer, like I'm still the parent and I still have the final say. But I think I really want to believe and value and trust what they're telling me.
Yes.
Over my agenda.
And when our kids are younger, it's a smaller circle of that. I'm going to listen to you on these, these small things. And that feels really good to a toddler or, an early elementary kid, a few small things. And then I feel like as our kids get older, that circle just kind of grows out farther and farther. I need to trust you on these things. I need to trust you on these things, But I also think there's something even as a young child that our kids know about themselves, which is like, how they need to learn. I think that is something that's is so part of them. And they may not be able to, I don't think they would always be able to verbalize that or say, I need to do math this way. I'm not ready to read yet. But so that's where we as parents, our job is to kind of become experts in our children, learn the cues. There's just so many little hints that they're giving you along the way. And then you can be the one to verbalize and say, it sounds like you need this. Does that seem right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to do that.
Well, the learning when they're real young, I mean, in all of our life, but especially when they're really young, it's just very natural and it's how they play and it's how they interact with the world. And they are learning in the way that feels right to them.
Yes.
So they start off doing that. And then at a certain age or point, we come in and tell them something different, like actually now you need to do it this way. And it can be, I think, confusing to everyone.
Yeah.
Because things were going fine before, because they were doing things the way that they felt appropriate. Right. And so if as much as we can continue that and listen and value to their way of doing things, I think then they might also be more open and willing when we have a way that we want to do things too, or something that is important to us.
Absolutely. Well said. So
All
good.
right.
So good. All right. Let's move on to Loving This Week. LTWs.
Let's do it.
Angela, what are you loving this week?
I am loving... I think a couple weeks ago I talked about some joggers, and now I'm telling you about another comfy clothes item because I'm not going anywhere this winter, so I'm gonna live in comfy clothes.
Yes, we all are.
So I bought some sweatshirts from Target, a few different ones, and I wanted to try them out. Well, I found one that is my new favorite.
Oh wow!
It's by A New Day. That's the brand from Target. I don't know if you know that name, but it's their crew neck fleece pullover. Okay. This is just a plain crew neck sweatshirt.
Yeah.
It's kind of short. It's not oversized or anything. It's just plain crew neck.
I think I may have gotten these, Angela.
Do you have this one? It's so soft.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
It's
I think
so soft. Okay, you have it.
I think I might.
Right.
I don't remember if it was A New Day, but I think it is.
Okay.
So
well,
soft.
I think it probably, if it's so soft, it's A New Day.
Okay.
Because I've tried them all at Target.
Really?
Well, I mean, I wanted like a sweat plain sweatshirts.
Yeah.
And so I tried a bunch, and I got another one too that isn't soft. This one is so soft.
Yeah.
So I did get a few colors.
Great.
They have lots of different colors.
Yeah.
And sizes. The only thing is, they're partially getting sold out a little bit. So if you're interested, they still have lots of colors and sizes, a variety, but you might want to go hit them up. They do have 5 stars.
Oh, that's good. That's awesome.
On all the reviews.
I also do know about Target, and I'm not sure about this specific thing, that I think they restock pretty often. So even if there is one that you don't find that's in your size or color, there's a little button that says notify me, and then they'll email you, and it usually doesn't take too long. So.
Yeah. And this is just going to be my winter wardrobe.
Yes.
Sweatshirt,
uniform,
joggers, and it's going to be my, what's that called? When you have the same wardrobe.
Capsule wardrobe?
Sort of. That's sort of what I'm doing.
Okay.
Capsule wardrobe, sweatshirt and joggers all winter.
I love it.
Basically.
I love everything about it.
If I need to dress up, I have jeans.
Good.
A pair.
Great.
Okay. How about you, Maren? What are you loving this week?
Okay. I'm loving YouTube for a few specific channels.
Okay.
So it's not something to like sit down and watch as a show. It's something you put on in the background while you're doing other things. It's music.
Okay. Music on YouTube.
I know you're probably wondering, why would I listen to music on YouTube? It's because it has graphics that go along with it. And they are so perfect for background graphics. So the two channels that I've been listening to are Chill Hop. And then the other one,
not surprised.
And then the other one is Chilled Cow. And it's just these. Okay, so the one I love the most is just, it's like it's an animation of like a raccoon. Just stay with me. Walking leisurely down a path with a big lake behind it and beautiful trees and a mountain. And it's just, and the raccoon has like on a hoodie and headphones. And he's just like, they're just leisurely walking down this path and listening to the music. And it just like, the scenery just keeps going by.
Oh, okay.
And it's so beautiful. It is.
So you put this on your TV?
Yes.
During the day?
Mm-hmm. And I love it.
Is this called Chill Hop? This is the Chill Hop one?
I think so, yeah. I think it might be. Although there's also a person, they have a person one too who sits at a desk and is like either just like working on a computer or writing. And then they have like a candle, and it's just like this very, very cozy, just so a calming just landscape and atmosphere. And it just like adds to the music, the chill nature of the music. And it's so perfect for, a lot of them are called focus chill. A lot of the playlists that they have on their channel, it's called like focus chill, because people use this music while they're working. It is like, and it really does help your brain focus, this music. It really does. And so we were listening to it this morning, and it's great because when your brain is working so hard, like you're using, I don't know what side, your left side, left brain to do logical things. And then you can just kind of like cross your brain and just like work, just like kind of give that side a release, and like you use your right brain for just even a few seconds in between work. It's really, really, really therapeutic. So
sounds amazing. How did you find these?
My husband, Sean.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So they have different playlists,
yes.
and I'm sure different kinds of music with different backgrounds.
Yes.
Animated backgrounds.
Yes.
Okay.
It might take a while to get used to. It did for me. It really did. I was like, we do not need any more screens on in our lives,
Yeah.
But I think this is also, a way I can connect with our kids, because, I think screens are like we were talking about our first language. Screens are probably a little bit more their language. And so when they're on, it feels like, oh, thanks. You kind of like moved over here a little bit for me. Thanks. I appreciate that. Even if it's not really anything to watch that much.
Do your kids like it?
They do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
They really do.
I am very curious, and I will check that out.
You'll have to let me know what you think.
Okay. Yep.
And what
definitely
your kids
I will.
think about it too.
Well, now we have the TV in our living room, which we've never had before.
Yeah.
So I actually could do that
could.
because I really wanted the TV for like homeschool type, just quick watching something.
Yes.
So we could definitely put this on.
You could.
Yeah.
Totally.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for being with us. If you want to find us on social media, we're on Facebook and Instagram at Homeschool Unrefined. We also have our website, homeschoolunrefined.com, where you can find links to everything we talked about. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening.
Homeschool Unrefined is created and produced by Maren Gorse and Angela Sizer. Amanda Ginn is our content and marketing strategist.
This podcast is listener supported. We have been and are happy to be personally investing in this business we believe in. But we also know we deserve to have a business that invests in itself. When we reach 200 patrons, we'll have enough to cover our costs and the many projects we are dreaming of. Join our growing community at patreon.com/homeschoolunrefined.
Additionally, we are donating 10% of all Patreon income and product sales to The Conscious Kid, a Black and brown-led organization that has been instrumental in our own evolution and in leading the way in both ideological and tangible change with their work in parenting and education through a critical race lens.
No matter how you homeschool, you are exactly who your kids need. You're doing great.